The swordsmith Merlin spent his entire life forging a holy sword using the scepter of the Sorcerer King to maintain the balance of the world. He entrusted the sword to the Lady of the Lake for safekeeping. Only a true king would be able to draw the sword. Fearing a potential threat to his throne, the tyrant ordered every young man in the kingdom to attempt to pull the sword from the stone. Arthur pushed his way through the crowd and, under the signal of the black-armored general, stepped slowly onto the stone platform. Suddenly, a familiar aura washed over him. He reached out with one hand to grasp the hilt, and to everyone's shock, the sword responded to him. The black-armored general barked impatiently. "Use both hands. Don't waste everyone's time." Sensing something unusual, Arthur placed both hands on the hilt. In that instant, a surge of immense energy erupted. Arthur slowly began to draw the sword, and in the royal palace, the tyrant sensed something was wrong. As the crowd looked on in disbelief, Arthur summoned all his strength and pulled the holy sword from the stone. The black-armored general immediately ordered his arrest, but before anyone could act, Arthur, unable to control the sword's power, collapsed to the ground. When he regained consciousness, he found himself locked in a dungeon by the tyrant. It was then revealed Arthur was the sole surviving bloodline of the former king, Uther. By pulling the sword, he had unknowingly challenged the tyrant's authority. To solidify his rule, the tyrant gathered the citizens of the capital and executed Arthur's adoptive mother on the spot, using her death to force Arthur into admitting that he was nothing more than a failure. Faced with threats and grief, Arthur was unable to resist. But in the next second, a robed sorceress whispered an incantation. An eagle swooped down over the execution site, and the tyrant was suddenly struck by a blinding headache. Unable to speak, unable to give the order, the sorceress continued chanting, causing the war horses to go berserk, charging straight into the black-armored soldiers. Rebel forces stormed the execution site, cutting Arthur free and placing the holy sword back in his hands. The warrior in blue shed his disguise, leapt off a 1,000-foot cliff, and Arthur followed without hesitation. The group escaped to a secret base, a hidden refuge where all the soldiers were once loyal subordinates of Arthur's father. They believed if Arthur stood up and fought, they would follow him without question. But Arthur wanted nothing more than to live a simple life. Disappointed in his lack of resolve, one of them slapped him across the face. Arthur still refused to be drawn into war. No matter what anyone said, he wouldn't budge. He gripped the sword in both hands, raised it in a defensive stance. A sudden flash of light burst forth, and in that moment, the nightmares from his childhood came flooding back. He collapsed again, unable to face that buried trauma. To help him confront his inner demons, the sorceress cast a spell and entered Arthur's dreams. Only then did she understand. Arthur had witnessed his father's death with his own eyes. That moment had haunted him ever since. Every time he held the sword, he was forced to relive that painful memory. He blamed himself for not saving his father. And so, the sorceress made a decision to send Arthur into the realm of darkness, to temper his soul through fire and shadow.